Hello, welcome to another weekly episode of the Beer Fridge Podcast. Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, your home real beer, real breweries, real opinions. As always, if you listen, make sure you subscribe, hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling to be notified of every single episode. You can show your support by giving us a 5-star rating. You can show your official support by going to patreon.com/beer fridge podcast. The link will be in the description. My name is Gavin. I've got my usual drinking friends. I've got Callum, and I could just see at the corner of my eye a big foam from MD. Good evening.
There it is. Was that big dome or big foam?
Exactly.
Nice.
Indeed. Right, kick things off as we normally do. Go around the virtual table and see what we're drinking to kick things off.
Let's go around the table.
Foam me then. Foam me.
Foam. Well, I'm on Big Foam, funnily enough. Big Foam, the rustic lager, 5% from Don Zoco. Kind of had to pick this up with the craft beer channel doing the tasting. I thought it was an absolute no-brainer. As you know, I'm an absolute sucker for good lager, and I think Don Zoco, I've always been really good at it, and this is like no exception. To be fair, it hits you with like the smell straight out of the can. You're getting like hoppy, like proper, like how do I describe it? Like Halton Blanc, like proper like German vibey hops, checky like pills, all that dry. It's leaning into the Nelson-y vibes in terms of that kind of gooseberry dry on the nose stuff, but the body of it is just so beautiful. Like it's malty, it's crisp, it's just banging.
It is tremendously good. I won't lie to you. I've only got one big foamage left. I'll be drinking in a second, but every single one for that box was ridiculous. That one in particular is also very, very good. They're just so good. It just beat like lagers. So good.
It's so light on the old like it pours and it holds like proper head retention's ace, as you can see, right? But it's got the proper small bubbles that you love and like a proper lager. It kind of dances on your tongue, but it's so pillarily soft. Like it's just so easy to drink. It's ridiculous. It's 5%, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3 Cancun, I think. To be honest with you.
Indeed. Oh, shing. Callum, you're going to be in a Don Zoco sandwich. So what's the filling?
Oh, right. I was going to say, are you going to round off the Don Zoco before you come to me? But no, I'm quite happy to blather about this. It's a collaboration between sort of 3 up-and-coming, little-known breweries here in the UK. Left-Handed Giant, Dea and Verdant.
Never heard of them.
I know. So they've collaborated for their Little Summer Beer Bash 2025. And true to style, well, certainly for Dea and Verdant, it's a 6.5% IPA. And it's Amarillo, Eldorado, Nectaron, and Nelson. And it's just fucking sublime. It's just, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't hear the fadumph as it entered the glass. And I mean, check the colour. I mean, it's like
Why?
Proper haze. You're getting all that. It's really interesting flavour profile because Amarillo's giving it that real earthy kind of almost savoury edge, but at the same time you're getting those zippy goose, like you say, Mark, those gooseberry winey flavors for the Nectaron and the Nelson. It's just really, really well rounded, fabulous body, and I think I say that quite a lot. Fabulous body. Maybe it's subconscious. I don't know, but no, it's really, really nice.
T-shirt, Gav.
Right.
Pardon?
Put it on a T-shirt.
I know. I'm gonna have to make a bingo card and double check.
Fabulous body.
Fabulous body. So, like I said, I'm on Donzoko as well, and this is a collaboration with Burn and Sky. This is Grand Cru, 6% lager. This is a rustic. Where is it? Where the fuck's the can? It's there. Lager rustique. Is the reference it gives us. This is like it's just totally different, and this is like taking lager to a different level and mixing different styles. It's been whacked in saison kegs, so you're getting that white wine kind of Nelson on the back of it. You're still getting that lager body, that light, crisp, clean body, but then you're getting that white wine. It creeps through on that grape, and it's so interesting. It's not going to be for everybody. For a proper lager lover, craft beer geek, this will like get you to
When I seen it, mate, when I seen the box, and I was going to lift it when I was coming up there, and I thought, that's not what I need right now, but it's exactly up my street. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's got everything, and like I say, we can't say enough about Burn and Sky in this podcast this year, to be fair, and the fact that they're tying it in with lager, I think, is an absolute no-brainer.
It wasn't what I expected though. Like, because the can is very non-descriptive of what you want to or what you're tasting. It doesn't give you tasting notes, so you don't know what you're getting. So you're just kind of guessing. But then you drink it and you're like, initially you go, what is that extra like funkiness, that kind of breadiness that's in the beer? And then if you untap it or you Google it and you see, okay, like that makes sense. It's been put in saison kegs. It's got Nelson in it. So you're getting that breadiness, that grape, white wine grape, nice and dry. It's just different level of beer, just different level of lager. It's insane. And like you said, Mark, it's Donzoko and Burn and Sky. It's a match made in heaven. So
it's a weird one because it's probably not a mainstream beer, like you say.
No.
I suppose that's the battle that Donzoko and Burn and Sky will have, like with their reps. But you know, like, the fact that I've seen a lot of comments about the big foam box and Donzoko itself and all the rest of it, and I haven't watched the craft beer channel thing about it because I was sort of like, I kind of want to drink the beers myself and then compare my notes to their notes. But it's, for me, it's just another, and we say this all the time, but like breweries that kind of define themselves within a style or within a category, I think is just such a great, obviously, USP and all the rest of it. And we, as the beer geeks of the world media and all these kind of folk, we need to shout about that. And like, because everybody's, like you say, your taste buds change all the time, and we keep saying stuff like that. But when someone is doing something so well, I think it's important to really just hone in on it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the fact that the craft beer channel have spent time there and studying and researching, and you know, and then obviously the time to record and everything like that, I think it's just awesome. And that's the beers
the boxing insane. The beers are just as insane. Definitely go and grab them. Right, then let's deep dive into the latest news and the craft beer world.
News up.
Let's go with probably the biggest one of the week, and pretty unexpected. Or was it? I'm not too sure. Co-founder of Brewdog, Martin Dickey, has left Brewdog, stepped aside. the demise of Brewdog continues, crumbling at the seams, it appears. Martin Dickey, the one who, with everything that went on with the North Sea Atlantic captain,
Yep.
held the fort, and they kept the thing running. Has stepped away. No, there's no. I've not that I've seen it anyway. There's nothing being written to say why. We can all probably guess and suspect and put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5 and 6. But interesting that he's decided that he's had enough of all the share prices that, or when Heineken or whoever it is buy it, his cut isn't going to be as much as he maybe thought.
Aye. It's really interesting. We had a bit of chat on the Discord about this, and there was some other insights that I probably hadn't appreciated. But it seems as though it's jumping for a sinking ship, really, and I feel sorry for the people that have, the punks in inverted commas that have, stuck money in and with I don't know, with a hope. I mean, I don't know how many of these punks have bought more than one share, in order to get their discount and all the rest of it. And if that's the case, if you're somebody that's been drinking in Brewdog Burst for the last few years, and you're a punk and you've spent your however much it was on your share, then you've probably had your money's worth, to be fair, in terms of discounts and that. But if you're buying shares as an investment, I've got to be worried, really. And if you've sunk a wee bit of money in to try and make some coin at the other side of it, then I hope everything works out for you, really.
I don't know. I think the value of the business is still going to be huge. Do you know what I mean?
The interesting thing for what we're talking about on the Discord the other day was that they had taken in with this TSG, the investment group from America, after having tried to sell the brewery to the sort of big guns with no joy. And apparently the deal that they've got with this investment group TSG is that it's guaranteed money. So they're guaranteed their investment back at all costs. So if the business does go, or if it does get sold, or whatever, they're guaranteed their money. And it seems as though the 2 top boys have sold their shares, have got out of Dodge, and just leaving everybody else to go down with the ship, basically.
The thing is, there's 2 things for me. As soon as I seen it, that was my first initial thought, was the sticky steady. Nah, the time's right to get out before whatever happens. The other part of me is I honestly think the whole company's in a total restructure. It's in a redirect. They're trying to reposition themselves.
Yeah.
Would I be surprised if they properly rebranded? No. I know they tried recently, and we kind of everybody shat all over that in terms of the the Hazy Jane stuff and all that kind of carry on. But they're trying things. They're no longer punk. No. So the whole the whole hierarchy is changing, and it's just part of me thinks it's what a ride we've had at this.
Oh Christ!
And this is just what needs to happen for this brewery to really succeed and move forward is not what I foresee as Brewdog.
No.
And part of me thinks, fair play, and I'm trying to be semi-positive. Like you say, I'm the first person on sales and whatever, and I don't agree with a lot of the stuff. So it's one of these, like, part of me is just like, does he know something that no one else knows yet? And the fact that, you know, there is a
Coming high.
massive hole somewhere, and it's the thing is, you're talking about like they own so many properties, right? That they're going to, like, honestly, I think in 2 years' time, what will happen is they'll be franchising out Brewdog pubs, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be franchising out or leasing out pubs.
It'll become a name that means nothing. It'll become a name that's you know.
It's going to end up like Bellhaven. It's going to end up like Green King.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. You know, if you were to go back 50 years, and you would have all these, you know, Green King, as you say, Bellhaven, they would supply within a certain radius of their premises, and they would be renowned for the beers, and you would have Bellhaven drinkers, and then they get so big that then they collapse underneath themselves, and suddenly it's, this is a Bellhaven pub, this is a Green King pub, that's the way it's going to go. This is going to be a Brewdog pub, and
I'll have Hazy Jane on, and then the landlord, and you'll be tied to specific beers that will be brewed. And it really is, and it is probably. I'm saying that if that's not the strategy, then I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the 25 new beers that are proper punk and that are going to, you know. Sorry.
I think they're on a trajectory whereby, I'm forgetting the film. I think it might have been Batman. That you know, you play the hero long enough until you become the villain. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's the way that I see it going. Is that for so long, Brewdog were the punks. They were sticking it to the man, and they were responsible for all the craft beer, and they were responsible in part for the craft beer explosion in the UK over the last 15-20 years. And it's just, I think they're just going, like you say, Mark, and whether it's a good business strategy or not, I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think in terms of a business strategy, it is definitely a good idea. But it's just for those of us who were around and drinking beer when Brewdog was born and rose to such prominence, it's just such a shame.
But see, for me though, like, they have a real opportunity to pioneer craft beer across the whole of the UK, and like I'm saying worldwide, right? But because of the infrastructure that they've got, the brand recognition that they've got, the locations that they've got, whether they own them or not, I don't want to be angry. Somebody's going to be fucking like, oh, he knows so much, but can you honestly imagine what way to get the craft beer world back on your side, right? Is we have all these pubs, right? We have all this opportunity, so let's turn it into every one of these. We'll put the onus onto the GMs in-house. Go speak to your other local breweries. Go speak to your other local distilleries. Go speak to anybody that is within your radius or whoever you want to speak to.
Yeah.
And let's deal with them and become the hub for craft beer in the UK.
Well, most Brewdog tap rooms, there's at least 12 taps. Like, at least. I don't think I've been in one that's had less than 12.
Yeah.
And you could easily split his head.
Sorry, interrupt you there, Gav, but we always joke, we would go in and we're like, what's on the guest line? Right? But even their guest lines now are contracted. You know, Gwen Stefan or this, Equilibrium that, and then they'll have maybe one or two beers that are local, that's close by, that they know they can get access to.
Well, do you know what? The last time I went into Brewdog, and in fact, no, the last time I went in, I moaned about the fact that they bumped their prices up for the Oasis gig. But the time before that, I went in with the guys for work, and I was so excited because they had Sierra Nevada on keg, and that was it. It didn't matter that it was £2 more than every other beer on the fucking thing, mate. It was a pint of Sierra Nevada, please.
See, I think I agree with you as well, Mark, in terms of there's potentially more to come out that would work. Because the Metro Plus did an article, and it was the one bit that is in it is that revealed that obviously Big James Watt was the worst boss in the world, which we've spoke about that. Apparently, he I don't know if this is. Can you run up a beer tab in your own fucking brewery? Anyway, but apparently he ran up £160,000 beer tab, bar tab, excuse me. But to be honest, if I owned the brewery, I'd do exactly the same. In fairness, like it's my fucking brewery, I'd do what the fuck I want. But yes, I reckon there's, to your point, there is potentially other things that are going to come out of the woodwork potentially. But flip side of it is, I think I don't disagree with you. The kind of track that Brewdog should get, it would probably work. You still get people that won't go in Brewdog, but you get people like us that will talk shit about Brewdog, but will still go in a Brewdog pub because of the guest list. Yeah, and it's a good way to get people back on side because every beer wanker, loves to shit on Brewdog, and it's an easy win. But at the end of the day, the percentage of people that they employ in the hospitality business is massive, and like you said, the venues that they've got are massive. So to lose all that would be a bloody shame. So we'll see. Evidently, we'll speak of them again next week because the last 3 or 4 weeks they've always crept in.
Aye,
they've always
something else will come up.
Anything you guys want to mention news-wise?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about something that I read on Beer Today, and we spoke briefly there about Bellhaven and Green King and these kind of breweries that own a whole host of establishments. One other such business is Fuller's, that own 400 pubs across the UK. And what they're doing is this is a bit of good news for me anyway, is they've partnered with a charity called Dreams Come True, and it's delivering life-enhancing experiences for children with serious or life-limiting conditions who live in the most deprived communities across the UK. So what they've pledged is that 50 pence from every children's meal that is ordered at one of their establishments across the UK is going to go direct to this charity. And yeah, so they're last year they were partnered with the same charity, and they managed to impact 5,000 different children's lives for the better. So hopefully this is going to continue on for the next year. So things like trips to the zoo and things like that, these tiny wee things that can make such a huge difference to families and kids. So it's nice to see some good coming out of owning fucking hundreds of pubs in the UK. And as has become tradition, I want to shout out some new beers. Stupidest name has to go to Pomona Island, and they've brewed a beer. It's a Madagascan vanilla stout, and it's called The Eyes of the Jackal. No, sorry. Into the Eyes of the Jackal, I say kaboom.
I mean,
make it that what you will.
Can I get a pint of Eyes of the Jackal? Something coming in.
Aye. Maybe that's why they've done it, so that you can only order 1 pint. Because if you go back for the second one, you'll be absolutely sploonged and you can't fucking say the name. Vocation have honoured their 10th anniversary celebrations with a new brew of our old supermarket favourite, roll with it, the turtle beer.
Oh, yes.
So 5.2% and bursting with bold hoppy flavours. So hopefully we should be able to see that soon. I don't know whether it's coming back into supermarkets or not. The article doesn't say. And finally, props to Brew York. We all know they've had many a quirky beer name. Juice Forsyth springs to mind, and there'll be others that I can't remember. They've released a blueberry pastry sour, and they've decided to call it Katy Berry. So I thought that was quite good. So well done, Brew York.
I like that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, aye. Just keep your beer name short and sweet.
Beer 1.
Aye.
Beer 2.
Like, I know it must be really hard to name a beer, but just no longer than 3 words.
No, okay.
I want beer. There you go. Done.
Into the
Thank
eyes
you.
of the jackal, I say kaboom.
Into the eyes of the jack. Go.
Whoever thought of that? Whoever thought of that's got too much time on their hands.
Way
Correct.
too much time. Have a word with yourself. Have a word. Anything you want to shout out, MD?
Yeah, the only thing that kind of jumped out this week was, if I don't know if you've seen it or not, was Lidl's little what do you want to call it, like launch or advertisement, if that's the right way, in Scotland only. So down south listeners, cover your ears for a wee
I
bit.
don't care.
So now I'm going to kind of watch how I say this, right? But I think there's a real positive aspect to this. So Lidl have launched Scotland's first gender-balanced beer ale. Okay, where they have partnered up with giving equal
What does
shelf.
that even mean?
Yeah, they're giving
Can
equal
you
shelf
explain it to you?
Sorry.
For the
Sorry.
third time, they're giving equal shelf space to those breweries that are owned by women or female breweries in general.
Oh,
right.
okay.
So Scottish breweries that are leading the charge in this are Stuart Brewing with Joe Stewart, and Innocent Gun with Nicky Charleston, and my old stomping ground at West with Petra, and Loch Lomond Brewery with Fiona. Met Fierce Beer with Louise, and 71 Brewing with Bella. So these are the six women that have kind of been showcased as the front, the head of this sort of campaign about with women in the brewing industry. Now, I think this is a great idea, right? And I think it's something that really is like, it's great to advertise. But part of me thinks, I think Lidl have they've done this for the publicity aspect of it, and I think they've sort of missed the mark a little bit. And I'm trying to be careful how I say this, right?
Nope.
But go on, Captain.
Well, my initial thought was that if I stand at the craft beer section in Lidl, I'm going to see Loch Lomond, I'm going to see Fierce, I'm going to see Innocent Gun, I'm going to see all the breweries that you mentioned, even West are in there already. So it's like, do you know, I'm not.
What's different?
What's going to be different about what I'm used to seeing when I'm walking down the beer? I mean, does that mean we're not going to be getting Moretti and Budvar and things like that, or you know, is there anything going to change in terms of what I see when I walk down the beer aisle in Lidl, or have they lucked out in the sense that the breweries that they already stock happen to be run by women and they're just jumping on that and saying this is what we've got?
Yeah, so to add into this, so 50p of every beer sold within the retailers within the Scottish favourite lineup is what they're calling it.
Right, okay.
Will fund a Lidl's scholarship at Heriot Watt.
Fabulous.
Oh, that's good.
For supporting female brewing to qualify
Yeah.
at a commercial level, right? So
That's really good, Di. That's awesome.
That's insane. So that's something I think is great. I just think we've had to, and I know we're not the right people to talk about it, and this is something that I would love, like Joe and Tori, to like pick up a women's brew podcast,
I'm on to chat about it.
or whatever it is, right? So these are the people that I want to pass this. Like, I want to hear from and kind of like just get the thing. But part of me is like, it's a great initiative in that sense, right? But I think there's so much more that can be done. We speak about the women in beer and the mentorship that Amelia and that group all do.
Mhm.
We spoke about the Brave Noise campaign. We
Mhm.
spoke about all this, so we know that all this is going on in the background, and like an absolute juggernaut in Lidl getting involved in something like this is only going to shoot it to the moon.
Even just in Scotland, it would make such a big difference. And I mean, I love the idea of, you know, they've obviously picked these breweries. You know, they already stock them and they already sell their beers, and that they've locked onto the fact that you know, at least co-ownership or co-running of these breweries are done by women, and for them to pledge the money and a scholarship place at Heriot Watt is absolutely phenomenal. I really love that. But I totally agree that alongside that, why do we not have a weekly special, a monthly special of a brewery that either champions women in brewing, so facilitates or does the women does the International Women's Beer Day, or whatever, you know, you understand what I'm talking about. I'm muddling my words. Or is a beer brewed by an up and coming brewery. The one that comes to mind is Closet. We know how phenomenal the beers are that they've got. How good would it be to see a Closet beer in Lidl, even for a week or a month?
That's what I think they've missed the mark with, though.
So hopefully this is a good starting point and they can move forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be really interesting to get the guys' take on that, Mark. As you say, we're going to need to try and line that up.
Aye, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's really good. To your point, Cal, I don't. It's like I said, it's they've lucked out into the breweries already worked with, and my head initially was like, so where's Closet? Yeah, you've got Harveston Brewery as well. Their head brewer she's a female. It's Amy. Amy does that over there. You could have got what's her face from Cold Town, Haley. She's one of the head brewers. So you're missing. They've went with ownership of breweries rather, and then again, I could be completely wrong. If I'm wrong, forgive me. But they also could have looked at the females that fucking are the head brewers at some of these places. Those two breweries I just mentioned, they're no small breweries. They're pumping it tons and tons of fucking beer. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't disagree with it, and I think it's really good. It could have been, like you said, Cal. It just seems like they looked at what's going to be the difference on the shelf.
I guess, like I say, any opportunity to shout about ownership or just create, you know, like equality within beer and showcase, you know, there's loads of people that are working, men, female, non-binary, whatever, like that are working within the brewing industry, and you know, it's never really been a really equal kind of safe space. We still see a lot of friends that have difficulties within festivals and all that kind of stuff. And
take Kimberley for example at the Great British Beer Festival.
Well, that's where I was going with that.
Right.
That's exactly.
I'll say it. I'm the board.
No, I'm like, but that's it's important that these things are brought up and discussed, and and I think when you've got at the end of the day, it comes down to beer, and if the beer's good,
who doesn't matter who makes it. Doesn't matter. It's good. It's good. I know I sound like I'm being negative towards it. It's not. It's just I feel like they could do more. I just want more from it. That's all. So I know it does sound like I'm being a bit negative, but it's just me.
No, and I think you're right, and I think that's where I stand on it too. But I thought, look, it's really worth mentioning because it's great to see. And the breweries that are showcased there are like breweries that we have all drank and loved. Some of the beers, and the fact that you can get access to them, and when you're picking up messages for Lidl every week is brilliant, and long may it continue. And,
for the listeners down south, messages is shopping.
But you've got to get your groceries, old boys.
I said that the first when I moved in here. I used to say that, and folk were like, "Eh, your messages? What are you talking about? You got to pick up your emails, eh?" No, it's all right. Right. So, I mean, it all kind of ties in the Brewdog stuff and then the stuff about the women in beer segment. Talk about a bit that you seen, Callum, in the golden age of Bevaginos.
Yes.
And where we are.
Yeah, so it was a sort of blog post again on the Beer Today website, and I'm not sorry, I do apologise. It was the Brewers Journal I was on, and the guy was talking about whether or not we're living in a golden age of brewing, and whether or not the beer that we've got today is better than it's ever been, and whether this is the best time to be drinking beer. And then he went on to talk about a golden age of beer drinking from a personal point of view. So when was the best time in your life to be drinking beer? Was it when you were young and carefree and no responsibilities or anything like that? Or as he is now writing the article, old and carefree and no responsibilities? I just thought it was a really interesting article, really interesting read, and wondered what you guys thought about the whole. First and foremost, whether or not the beer that we're drinking today now is as good as it's ever been, or better or worse. Thoughts?
Fine balance, isn't it? Like when you're 16, 17 and 18, obviously you're legally drinking, obviously. Always drink responsibly. I know that, do that. You're drinking what we would now say is the muck of the beer world. I say that, and then occasionally we dip our toes in it as well. So there's probably like two sides of the coin, and then well, you could even go back further to like the steelworks and stuff, and the guys coming at the mines and coming at the steelworks and going to a local pub and paying what 50p, probably not even that, for a pint. And then you look at kind of nowadays where we're expected to like lose the hospitality jobs. There's meant to be about 89,000 hospitality jobs lost this year. 378 pubs are going to get lost this year. In the last 30 years, we've lost 30 or 40,000 bars. It's like, it's a weird, I think we're in a really odd stage at the moment. I think maybe for us, our prime was maybe, it's hard, isn't it, though? Because it's just weird. I
don't want to go in too much about the industry. I'm mere just talking about the beer. So in terms of the beer quality and things like that now, compared to
we're in a
5,
better
10
place
years
than
ago, is this the best beer that you've ever drank? Now, what you're drinking now?
I think that's an undoubted yes. Yeah. I think the quality. I think the overall quality is better, but that comes down to technology and everything too. And how efficient that we can be, like the level of precision that brewers now have with knowledge and experience and all the rest of it. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I think we are in. I think to kind of like lays on both points in that kind of sense, the variety of beer that is widely available now probably plays an impact on the quality. So for a standard, like a core beer drinker, the volume and the variety that you can have is probably actually more of a negative now than it would be for someone that is interested in that particular thing. Like gone are the days you would walk into a bar and there'd be 3 taps, lager, bitter, heavy, or stout, right? And you walked in and everybody knew, or lager drinker, bitter, whatever it is, right? And it was simple and it was clean, and the beer quality was, great. It would have been really good to great at that point too. And I lean into the fact that some of the best beer in the world is still made the same way as it has been since the 18 whatever, and like there's a reason for that too, that we haven't. And this, even though it's technology changes, we've not changed recipes or anything like that.
No.
So, like that's a play in it. However, like I'm saying all this to kind of clarify my point that I think the quality of the beer in this age, like at this age right now, is the golden. As in, like we're at the pinnacle now. Do I
think
think
we've lost the cask though? I think we've lost the cask. Like I feel
I
like
don't know,
that's not where it used to be, where it should be.
See,
Especially for the UK, like we used to be fucking masters at it. It's not that we're no, it's just that I think there's not as many producers of really good cask stuff kicking about as there was back in the day.
No, it's because the demand's not there anymore. Because
Yeah.
do you know if you go back a 50 years, your options were so much more limited, and you know, to go back to what Mark said, that the quality would have been there because it's local, it's fresh. You know, you can't buy beer from a brewery at the other end of the country because they don't distribute that far, and it's.
The other bit that is for this is just me. Like when I looked at it, when you posed the question, is I looked at my first thoughts were about cask and stuff, and how I feel like I don't feel like it's gone. We do get good cask beers, obviously, but because we relied on British hops back then, we had fucking acres and acres of land growing British hops. With 70,000 acres now, we've got 1,000 acres of land that grow British hops. So, like, that's just like a crazy, just fucking comparison.
That's
so now we're
that's the
relying
demand
on
thing as well, though, Gav. It's a demand thing. It's you know, if the demand was there, for people in Britain to be drinking British brewed beer made with entirely with British ingredients, then we would have to, you know. But the demand's not there because the quality's improved because of ingredients from elsewhere in the world, and our taste buds have developed the taste for the finer things in life.
I sort of think that. I think the cask thing is there. I think the education around the cask drinker has changed, and like obviously drinking culture has really changed that as well. So, you know, when we were growing up, you think about even when our dads were drinking, right? There was lager, and there was probably, like you say, bitter. There was definitely cask like available, like in most places. But to lean into Gav's point, we've lost so many pubs over the last couple of years, right?
And breweries too.
The treatment and the care that it takes for cask, the amount of people that tell me in the pubs, it's just not worth the effort, because it's the upkeep, it's the maintenance, it's all that kind of stuff. The fact that a cask will go out of date within 3-5 days, right? And the quality diminishes relatively quickly once it's been tapped. And a lot of pubs used to do pins, right? So 4.5 gallon casks. A lot of breweries aren't doing 4.5 gallon casks anymore, because it takes the same amount of time in terms of like the production. Obviously, it's half the volume that you're filling, but you're filling you're having to, like, filling casks is such a manual process, you know, and there is ways of doing it like electronically and with a kit now, but the money's more valuable for you to put that money into a kegging machine, a bottling machine, or a canning machine. These things allow you to either pasteurize or like it helps you extend your beer life. Do you know what I mean? So like from a financial investment point of view, breweries are then thinking, well, we bother. So there's a lot of things to that, and like we've opened up. We spoke about Lidl, we've spoke about supermarkets, we've spoke about how many different avenues there is for breweries to sell beer to now. And I know this is like a long-winded Billy Connolly answer to it, but these things have an impact on the delivery. And the breweries that do these beers really well are still top tier.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm coming back to, is that I think if people stay in their lane, but you can't because you've obviously got to build a business and like diversify. But when it comes right down to the brass tacks of this is the beer, I think we are golden in that sense.
To jump on, sorry, Cal, to jump on your point with the kind of life span, and of the cask beers, the wee bottle shop that I go to, Beerama, I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, he had a Verdant tap takeover. He had light bulb on cask, and he tapped, and he said that this is going to be the first weekend that he's actually going to at least break even on a cask, because every other one he's taken, he's lost money in it, because it just, like I said, it only lasts 3 or 4 days after it's tapped and then it's gone. So it just shows that this is why,
unless you've got that, unless you're a city centre pub that's got footfall and you've got people coming in on a daily basis ordering cask, I really or on the same token, you're a small pub with a dedicated band of local people that are going to be able to tan a cask over the weekend, or I don't see where it's viable for pubs to be serving.
It is a bummer,
and it is definitely a bummer, because there are breweries out there that do it so well. And
he had a Burning Sky on one. Burning Sky New Zealand Pale Ale on cask. It was fucking tremendous.
So just to give me so I'm speaking to like my little brother was talking about it, and like we're talking about beer on the weekend, and I said I'll have a pint cask.
The delivery driver.
And I'll have a pint of cask, and I had to explain to him the difference. And he was like, "Oh, I just never really fancied these ones." And I'm like, "Oh, why not?" I don't know. It's just, it's easier to order what you know.
Aye.
Right, and it's like these the hand pull thing. That's a bit weird, and it's a bit warmer too when I've tried it or whatever, and all this stuff. And this is and I made that point earlier. It's the education aspect. Like why? And we're championing cask within the UK. Like we are world renowned for this particular style of beer and how it is delivered, because it is part of our brewing heritage, right? And it's something that breweries, for me, I think it's a no-brainer. But the more commercially unforgiving and the more commercially restrictions that get placed on it, it makes it really difficult. I have this conversation in-house every week. I want more cask beer. Well, where are you selling it to? I'll sell it. And there's places that want cask beer, right? But, and it's the chicken and the egg thing, right? Well, if we've got, and every brewery will be doing the same thing. But I'd be really surprised, for our listeners and people that enjoy a beer, how many of our listeners will go for a cask beer over a keg beer? Right, the answer is going to be, well, it'll depend what's on, right?
Yep.
It'll depend what's on. So if there's two cask beers that are on, right? There's usually a light, there's usually a dark, depending on the venue. There's most people maybe will run 2 lights in the summertime, and then they'll throw a dark one near the wintertime, right? So if you're not a big stout drinker, right? Like Gav might say, I don't really fancy a stout. Right, but I know you're coming around. But then there's one tap for you to pick from. Whereas if you're walking into a pub and you'd be like, actually, well, a pint of Moretti's all right, or a pint of whatever's all right, and I know Innocent Gun, or I know so and so, or 71's on keg. Oh, that's a nice pint. I know I've tried that before. We're in that, man. So
I think to bring it full circle in terms of the question, are we in the golden? I think we are. For us at the moment, in terms of taste and variety of beers, But would we have said the same thing when we were growing up? Like,
definitely not. But I think before we move on to that, I think we are in the golden age, as you say, or a golden age. I don't think we're restricting ourselves to one, but I think the way that the drinking culture is going at the moment, I can only see a downward trend in the beers that we love at the moment. I can only see a downward trend in the availability and the production of those beers, because the young crowd now, the people who are coming up and are now in their early 20s, they're not drinking anywhere near like what we drank, and that they're much more focused on health and well-being, and they're much more, they're less focused on drinking. From my experience, and I can see the market. The market will have to follow that lead, and that's where we're going to. We're already seeing the increase in the duty, and I can just see beers getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and
So then, to play devil's avocado, then are we then transitioning out of what we are saying as the golden age? Because that's maybe like 5 years ago, before all the duty hikes, etc. Just after, like, a year or so after COVID, because COVID messed a lot of things up, obviously. But that period, kind of a year or two after COVID, when we were getting big, mad, juicy dippers, big triple IPAs, we're going daft on sours, adjuncts left, right, and centre, ramping up the ABV, which we fucking loved. Like, anything above, it had to be at least 6% for us to even look at it and be like, yeah, that's good.
That's the point I'm making, though. Yeah. We needed 6% beers to get the flavour we needed. We didn't need 6% beers anymore.
But this is what I'm saying is, my point being is, are we now in a transition stage? Is that kind of golden era, as Parsley, is that done, and we're in a transition into this stage where, to your point, Callan, it's in stats.
We're going into the dark ages.
It's in journals and stuff where, and I know you've seen plenty of stuff, Mark, written up that, like you said, younger folk aren't drinking. They're going low and no. So we're in this transition phase.
I totally agree, and I think that the drinking culture is changing, but I actually think that lends itself to the golden age of brewing, because I think the beers are better. Like, they don't need to be 6% to give us all the flavour that we need anymore.
I think that goes back to Callan's question then as well. So there was two parts, like drinking and then brewing. So
So from a brewing point of view, like, I actually think that we're coming into. I think the age of brewing is only going to get better, because at 3% beer, I think we're going to get the flavours we did at 6% 5 years ago, which is the win-win from the health point. However, to the point that you're saying is that there is something nice about a 6% IPA that gives you that little bit of buzz to go along with all the flavour, right? But that beer is, we've spoken about it for years. It's easy to make a boozy 8% beer. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to make a really delicious 3% beer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the art and the age of brewing that we're going to hit down. And to kind of flip it onto your second kind of point about the golden age of drinking, like what age and all the rest of it. Because I think that's a really tricky one, because I think the older you get, the more, like, obviously the more mature you're supposed to get. Or some
lies.
Some people get mature, some people, get bald. But like, it's, so for me, it's like, I honestly think right now, for me, I'm in the golden age of my drinking power, because I'm at an age where I have money to burn, that I don't have to spend on, sensible things, and I get to spend it on whatever beers that I like and want. And, and that's situational. And, you guys will disagree, because you have got, little mouths and little hands and feet to cover and feet and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but without reading that article, I think, you know, when your taste buds and, you know, like you're drinking wine now, Callum, that there's no way you would have been drinking when we were 18 and 19. And and the only wine you were drinking wasn't because you enjoyed it. You know what I mean? It was getting drank for, you know,
because it was tonic wine.
You know, so I think basically from my point of view, I think the older you get, the more golden you're going to get in terms of where.
Yeah. You know, I agree. I agree. In terms of the beers that I'm drinking and the flavors that I'm getting now, is definitely better than anything I've ever had before. And the only downside is that I've not got as much disposable income as you, Mark, that I can, as you say, because there are wee feet and hands and mouths and things. So I'm looking forward to retirement and you know, financial stability, and where I can decide to take a wee jaunt out of Belgium and get wired in about some monks. But yeah, in terms of the flavour and stuff, it's definitely the best I've ever had now. But in terms of fun, was it more fun? Was it more fun when you were tottering back through the bar with a tray full of £1 pints of diesel because it got you wired and you were going out to have an absolute blast?
No, see, that was more about the that had nothing to do with the drink.
Definitely.
No.
It had nothing to do with the drink. It was
a means to an end, really, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Getting yourself absolutely blittered as quickly as possible for as little as possible was the quest. Achieved numerous times.
I think it's a great thing, and I'll have a wee read at the article, and it'd be interesting to hear our Discord's thoughts on it too when it comes round, and just see what people think. Because for me, it's I just think the beer quality now, and if you've listened, and the thing is, like, if people listen to an hour into our podcast, they are balls deep into like craft beer. And if they're not, then it's all something to do with our sexy voices that are getting them off. One of the two. But
I've got a new one of my fellow bowling club members. Craig has recently started listening to the podcast, so shout out to you, Craig. And he's very much at the beginning of a craft beer journey, shall we say? And
well, you're fine listening to him. You listen to him when he said, "Get your face close to your microphone."
Yeah, so I've. I'm now right up close to the microphone.
Stapled.
Aye. So yeah, we are still getting new listeners that are beginning their journey. But I have to agree, Mark, that the core people that are listening every week, not that there's that many of them, right enough, but are balls deep in craft beer.
Can I just hang on? I know we're going to finish up quite late. I know, Gavin, but can you imagine, right, at this moment in time, being a craft beer virgin and having the scope to go after everything that we know and go through that journey and start afresh, right? Start with because when we were starting up, you had a couple of beers in supermarkets that were easily accessible for us until you went out. What was the first? I'm thinking the first craft beer that you maybe had on draft when we were younger. Do you know what? It would have been some Innocent Gun.
It would have been a Brewdog.
Brewdog, exactly, right? But
Hazy Jane.
Yeah, probably.
Can you imagine, we mentioned those 5 to 6 breweries in Lidl.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of those breweries have got 2 beers that are going to absolutely, whether you love them or you hate them, right? They are going to make your taste buds go off the rails if you have been a core lager drinker forever. And I just think to those points, we are in the golden age.
No, it's because take my old man for example. He's
Bud.
long time Tennent's drinker, switched to Budweiser because he doesn't get a hangover on Budweiser and took him to, they're getting mentioned twice, Beerama at the weekend. And, well, fun enough, they don't stock Budweiser. So you had to go for a little Abyss number, Brewery and Lewis. Had the Gonzo Pills. And he was like, oh, this is actually quite good. I was like, see, told you. So it does the fact that we're in an age where you can have lager, you can have proper traditional lager, you can go mental with the Don Zoco stuff, or you can just like have proper really good pills. So I think we're smashing it on all bases at the moment. The variety of choice is ridiculous. And like you said, if we were starting right now, I look round where I sit and record this podcast and look at the stickers and look at the beer mats and the different, but not one beer mat or stickers the same. Like, fucking, I've got too many.
It's mad. Like, and I think that even like Untapped, like being able to document your journey properly and see it, you know, and like I know we've done it to begin with, and to be fair, I never really took it serious enough. And I'll look back at some of the notes that I put down there, and it's like 0.25, you know, like shit beer name. Do you know what I mean, or something like that? I think you just think to yourself, like, you know, too many words in beer name. 0.5.
True that.
Nah, honestly, I think it's an absolute no-brainer.
Right. One thing I was meant to mention during the news and completely forgot, and I'll slide it in the now, is Stuart Bruin's birthday bash. Stuart Bruin are turning 21. 21.
No way.
21 years of brewing, and they're celebrating it on the 27th of September. There's going to be raffles, there's going to be cake, obviously, plenty of pizza. I don't know yet. Limited edition beers. There's going to be tours on with Steve Stewart himself. And so, yeah, raffles, limited edition beers. Kids will be welcome until 8 p.m. They are suggesting and recommending that you book a table as it will be heaving. So, yes, the 27th of September, get yourself down. See some of the old pictures that they put up. It's wicked just seeing like how it started. And obviously, we've been up there almost a year to the date that we were there last year to do our All the Seas. It's about a week, 4 or 5 days. And we would have been there this time last year doing All the Seas. And then other thing to mention, birthday-wise, we've not really mentioned it and not really celebrated it properly, but we'll see anyway. The Beer Fridge podcast is obviously 7 years old.
Yeah, we'll kind of skipped over it a wee bit, but we'll mark it soon, hopefully. And
are we?
Nah, look, when you've got so many accomplishments like us and you brew, and we're celebrating ourselves throughout the year, like what do we need to celebrate the day we were born for? Do you know what I mean? Like when we've got so much to celebrate, we just
7 years of doing the podcast. Started obviously we did it. We started it in COVID, didn't we? Did we? We did.
No, it was before.
No,
that.
in fact, before it was like
2018.
Aye.
Because I joined a year late, as is my wont.
Aye. And we're approaching 400 episodes, which is crazy. 7 years, nearly 400 episodes, absolutely insane. And it just continues to be an anchor.
Fun and an anchor of your an anchor.
An anchor in my life on a Tuesday evening to sit and talk crap about beer. And in the hope that someone listens. We know people listen. We say it in jest. And we appreciate everyone who's been on that journey with us. So yeah, 7 years of the podcast. Fun. There was something else that sprung to mind and I completely fucking forgot. Can't remember what it was. Buggery shits. Oh well. If I remember it, which I'm not going at this right now. And shout out to the guys at Alien. This wasn't what I was thinking of, but they shout out to the guys at Alien Audio. Had their music festival thing at the weekend just passed, at the bank holiday weekend. Big kind of online music festival thing.
Oh yeah,
with all the people that kind of made beer sheds and their man caves over COVID and stuff. So hats off to those guys. Big viewing figure. So well done to them. Excellent stuff. I've still not remembered that fucking thing I was trying to say. But couldn't have been important. Could not have been important. Anything else to add to this evening's proceedings?
Nope.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. As always, then, whenever you listen, make sure you subscribe, hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling to be notified of every single episode. You can show your support by giving us a 5-star rating or show your official support. We're going to patreon.com/Beer Fridge Podcast. The link is in the bio. Until next time, cheery bye.
1, 2.